Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Awesome. It's nice to see you all. Thank you all for being here and spending your time with us today. This meeting will be held in English. Is there anyone that needs translation devices? ¿Hay alguien aquí que necesita traducción en español? Okay, looks like we're good to go. Thank you for taking the time to join us for tonight's district community meeting. My name is Karina Silva. I'm a neighborhood services coordinator with the city of Salinas, and thank you all for being here again. We're glad to have you here to stay informed, share your input, and learn more about the projects and services that impact our neighborhoods. The agenda for today is here. The agenda for today will include the several updates from the following departments. So we'll have the city manager, Renee Mendez, who is here. Renee, where are you? City manager. Then we have the library and community services update by the library and community services director, Kristen Memphis. And then we have an update by Luis Rodriguez, who is the community development analyst for the community development update. And okay, hi Luis. And then we have an update by the public works department by David Jacobs, who is the public works director. This meeting will include a short presentation followed by questions and answers. So when we do get to the questions and answers portion, please raise your hand to speak when we get there. And then we'll go over the community agreements for tonight's meeting. And so respecting your fellow community members, the space, upholding safe language, respect for other people's opinions, time and space, being consensuous of the time and space we each take up in this meeting, waiting for your turn to speak, and adhering to the agenda. Can we all agree to the agenda rules? Perfect. Thank you. Let me turn my page. And just a reminder, restrooms are around the corner on this wall. Yeah, they're just right here at the door to your right. And then please feel free to grab any foods and drinks in the back of the table. Feel free to grab anything that you would like as you need it. And yeah, so with that said, I'd like to welcome and recognize city officials that are with us tonight. And I already recognize some of you that will be presenting. I'll go ahead and recognize the rest. So we have Lorenzo Sanchez, who is the code enforcement manager. Renee Mendez, city manager.
Oh, man.
Jose Areola, assistant to the city manager. District 2 Councilmember Tony Barajas.
Oh, man. That's all right.
Francisco Brambilla, community development. Orlando Reyes, community development assistant director. Monica Sardina, community services manager. And Andes, parks and recreation superintendent. And then I'll present Jose Luis Barajas in a moment. Okay, looks like I didn't miss anyone. So with that said, and I'll turn it over to the District 1 Councilmember Jose Luis Barajas. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Karina. All right, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Awesome. I'm excited to have you guys here. This is my first community meeting, so it's a learning process for all of us. We'll get through it. But to start off, for today's meeting, we're really going to focus on 3 different areas. We're focusing on housing and community development, library and community services, and the public works department, right? So if you have any questions pertaining to any of those 3 topic areas, save them for the end of the presentation. We're here to answer and address some of those. That being said, I'll go ahead and provide a brief update on some of the other regional committees and boards I serve on, and what are some of the updates on those, right? So I serve on the board of directors for the Solid Waste Authority, and something that we have coming up is actually this Thursday we have our strategic planning session. One of the key considerations for the Solid Waste Authority right now is we're nearing the end of life term for our current landfill down in Gonzales. So one of the things that we're going to be undergoing over the next 10 years is identifying whether we are going to be expanding the current landfill or identifying another location for that. That being said, another exciting update from the Solid Waste Authority is that the North County Transfer Station Center over on Crazy Horse Road, if I'm not mistaken, right, is also opening back up, right? So we're gonna see that be back operational sometime in the next year or two as we embark on construction with that project. We're finalizing some negotiations with the county on traffic mitigation and traffic impacts to the road, but that'll provide North County residents and North Salinas residents another opportunity and an alternative location to drop off their waste. I'm also on the board of directors for the Central Coast Community Energy Board of Directors, which is also known as 3CE, and I also serve within that board of directors on the Energy Risk Management Committee. I represent the city of Salinas on that board, and we're the only city that has a permanent seat on that board, particularly on the Energy Risk Management Committee. Some of the things that we're taking on with that is I've really been focusing on that committee and leveraging it for economic development opportunities. One of the things that I recently did is I had an opportunity to do a tour with Airport Manager Matthew Nelson to see what are some of the opportunities there. One of the key opportunities that I'm exploring on that front is, for context, Central Coast Community Energy provides the procurement power for PG&E, right? So in terms of utilities, in terms of electricity, PG&E owns the lines, owns the equipment, and does the actual work. Central Coast Community Energy, we're in charge of the policy of procuring the energy, right? So we're in charge of making sure that all of your energy is renewable, that it's accessible, and we oversee also all the different economic development and economic support programs through 3CE as well. So one of the things that we're exploring is there's a lot of opportunities to be had within the airport, one of them being leveraging the advanced air mobility industry and its growing impact, right? At the end of the day, if we think about it, once Joby Aviation is up and running, once Archer Aviation is up and running, all those places, they're rechargeable equipment, right? So we have to think of them in those terms, right? Similar to how Lime scooters, you need to recharge and they need to be brought out from the streets, come back to a centralized location at the end of the day. Well, we potentially have an opportunity to leverage Salinas being the go-to charging station for the Monterey Bay region, the Central Coast region, or even the Greater Bay Area, right? These airports, the airport could serve as an opportunity to use that, and 3CE, we're working on seeing if there's any opportunities of 3CE kind of exploring that. And another opportunity that we're also exploring to help reduce rates for our residents and to provide more local control is potentially exploring Salinas creating its own municipally owned, so publicly owned power utility. And the way that I'm exploring going about that is doing it in a gradual process. So with the airport, we have some key opportunities there. The parcel immediately in front of the airport is up and open for development. They're currently undergoing some environmental mitigation on that property. But one of the key constraints to economic development and our economic growth is PG&E's inability to deliver power and connections in a timely manner, right? Currently, if you have any projects, it's a 3 to 5 year timeline to get your project connected to the grid or for PG&E to be able to provide power. Key examples are that here in Salinas are the Amazon facility. They had to provide their own microgrid because PG&E was not going to be able to deliver power in a timely manner. So this constraints and limits our ability to grow as a city, right? That's one of the ways that we're working on that, and also to potentially help reduce the rates of our residents, because it won't be an investor-owned utility, right? We will no longer be bound to generate rates or adjust our rates in order to generate revenues for another shareholder, right? It would be potentially a publicly owned, community-owned utility for Salinas residents. Another board that I serve on is the soccer complex board, the Salinas Regional Sports Authority. Again, also leveraging economic development opportunities with them. They're currently undergoing a revised economic development impact report. That being said, one of the key things that we're working on is partnerships with C Monterey and leveraging C Monterey's expertise. C Monterey being the county's Visitors and Tourism Bureau agency. They're in charge of marketing the county and the region to tourists and outside visitors. So that being said, they've started partnering up with the team at C Monterey. They have a sales team that's really good at pitching our community, our assets to attract new investment and new opportunities to Salinas. One of them being the Alianza tournament, which is a national tournament, and it's the first time the city of Salinas was selected to be one of those hosts, and that was done through those partnerships and leveraging those opportunities, right? And we'll continue to see other ways that we can partner. On the soccer complex, one of the other things that we're working on is we're working with the county on improving pedestrian safety. As we know, there's very limited on-site parking for the soccer complex, and oftentimes community members, parents, children will run across, Constitution Boulevard, which people are going 40, 45 miles per hour. If you're out there probably right now, it's probably packed with traffic, and there's probably some children and families also crossing that street. So how can we make that area safer? We're exploring some of those opportunities of pedestrian safety, working with our county supervisors on seeing what are some of those opportunities. I also serve on the city-county MOU committee, and that's definitely one of the things that I'll be bringing up is seeing how we can partner and leverage those opportunities. Another component about the soccer complex, very briefly to mention, is as we negotiate with the county, one of the things that I want to work on with the soccer complex is the lease that we currently have with the county is very limited to the scope of activities that can actually take place on the soccer complex. So right now, as the permit and the lease stands, we wouldn't be able to have a farmer's market at the soccer complex. It would require renegotiating the lease. So I'm, again, looking to leverage this negotiation opportunity with the county to expand the types of opportunities and activities that we can use at the soccer complex, to also afford the soccer complex, which is a nonprofit in and of itself, the ability to be financially viable and self-funding as we proceed into the future. And last but not least, I also serve on the Salinas Valley Basin Groundwater Sustainability Agency, the GSA. What we're working on that, it's the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. It's a state law that was recently passed, which seeks to achieve groundwater sustainability by the year 2040. Obviously, that's coming up very quickly. We're 15 years away from that timeline. That being said, one of the things that we are tasked with in the next year is really identifying what are those projects to ensure groundwater sustainability. One of the key challenges that we have in our area is not exactly a lack of water. We have plenty of water. We have a lack of water at the right place, at the right time, is really what our issue is. Our second greatest issue, and probably our most pressing issue, is seawater intrusion. The county and our community has been aware of seawater intrusion for decades at this point. That's the whole point of the Castroville Seawater Intrusion Project, better known as CSIP. One of the things that we need to really worry about and look into the future is that seawater intrusion is almost at the city of Salinas barrier. So very soon, if we don't act with intention, we could very soon quickly see some residential wells in the city of Salinas start to go offline due to water quality concerns and issues. And once that water gets pushed out this way, that basically leaves our water unusable, right? So one of the things that was recently presented to us was there's 3 different projects being explored, and within each of those 3 projects, there's 3 different scenarios for each of the 3 projects, meaning there's a total of like 9 different scenarios that we're exploring. We just received a presentation last week for the first set of options, which is a project known as Aquifer Storage and Recovery. The Aquifer Storage and Recovery proposal would seek to create, it basically brings a bunch of different components of groundwater sustainability, like demand management, which means agriculture would have to reduce their use, managing their demand of agricultural and water resources, but also to ensure the long-term affordability of the water, right? So one of the project proposed would cost roughly around $300 million. It would require that we create new wells along the Highway 101 corridor, and it would basically pump clean water back into the aquifer to help create a pressure differential, which would push that seawater back out, right? There's not enough water resources to be able to pump that water into the aquifer that would deliver the kind of results that would allow us to be in compliance with SGMA in time, right? So it was deemed that that project is unviable, it's unfeasible, both from a cost perspective, from an operational perspective, and also from a results perspective. Even if we went with that project, it wouldn't deliver the results that we need in terms of groundwater sustainability or being able to push back seawater intrusion far enough so that it doesn't present a concern for Salinas' growth, both in residential terms and in commercial and economic development terms. And with that being said, I know I touched on a variety of different topics. If you have any questions, feel free to reserve them at the end of the presentation. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and hand it off to our city manager, Renee Mendez.
Thank you, Councilmember. Do we have the clip or someone? So thanks everybody for being here. I'm just going to set the table a little bit. Like the council member said, There will be 3 departments today, and then this is the first part of 2 parts. And then the next part we'll be talking about economic development and public safety. So get into more of those issues. So yeah, I'm just gonna, everything that you're gonna be hearing over the next couple of series is sort of captured under the city budget. And what I want to talk to you guys about is just kind of put it in perspective, kind of our City of Salinas budget and where we get our money from. The money comes from, obviously, the community through various means, whether it's taxes, property taxes, fees, permits, and so forth. But what's unique about Salinas, that's unlike other surrounding cities, is we are very heavily dependent on the general fund. So what that means is we're not a full-service city. Full service means that we will also provide water, which we don't here. There are 2 water companies, a large one and a smaller one. We don't provide wastewater. The bulk of the wastewater, which is domestic waste, the sewer, is Monterey One Water. We only provide the industrial side of it. And in Monterey County, all the cities in the county franchise their garbage. Unlike the prior city that I was at, and the prior county that I worked at, where the city and the county provided garbage services. So what we have in Salinas,
Council, you will take a picture, but we're not.
I'm a fan of the city manager, that's what I'm doing here.
is the TV?
Okay, that one looks good.
Okay. Well, what I was so that was $184 million roughly our general fund, which is the majority of that, over half of it is sales tax and property tax. The sales tax equation includes the measures. So the City of Salinas has 2 tax measures. One is a full percent, the other one is a 0.5%. And you got a couple of advisory committees for that. But they're under the general fund. So that's, let me see if I can get the other slide up. Okay, so that's the majority, over half of our revenue comes from both property tax and sales tax. Property tax, for those of you that don't know, is assessed a little bit over 1% of assessed value. So do the math. If you have $100,000, if your house is worth $500,000, which I know in Salinas is a lot higher than that, let's just say $1 million. A house is worth $1 million, the property tax is roughly 1% of that. That 1%, the city gets roughly, depending on your area, anywhere from 16 to 18, 19% of that 1%. So the schools, special districts, the county gets the remaining portion of the property tax. So when you look at your property tax bill, 1%, 17% of that is coming to the city. 17% of that is roughly coming to the city. And then we have other smaller revenues. It's just important to kind of understand the way our foundation, how we work. From a city's perspective, the majority of our expenditures are staff, salaries and benefits. When you think about our 3 largest departments, let's just say the 4 largest department, you got police, you got fire, you're gonna have public works, and you're gonna have library and community services. Those are your largest departments. We're roughly about 600 employees. The rest is operating supplies and services and other things that we do. But the majority of most cities' budgets and county budgets are personnel. To put it in perspective, under the general fund, by and far the cities is spending on police and fire and library, community service, and public works. Those are your 4 largest departments. The other departments, with the exception of community development, are inward-facing departments. So city attorney, my office, finance, and so forth support the other departments. Community development, well, you'll hear in a little bit, they're the ones that are managing and trying to move forward projects, permits, development in the city. It comes to community development. So when you look at kind of how we're made up, police, fire, library, community service, and public works are our 4 largest departments. And those are almost exclusively general fund. Total all expenditure, just another way of looking at it, is our total citywide budget is 284. So this is 184, our general fund portion. 285 includes our capital projects, includes our airport, includes our non-general fund departments. Of the 284, the largest portion is the general fund, and we just broke it up to general fund is 126, Measure G is 33, Measure E is 23. So it's a large portion of our funding sources. The reason why I want to emphasize that, as many of us know, or you may not know, Measure G is set to sunset in 2030. So I know there's a lot of conversation about, does the city need that money? What can we do to be efficient and so forth? But to cut $30 million out of the budget, we could eliminate whole health departments. If we believe that police and fire are important in public works, we can eliminate almost every other department. And we will still not make up the difference that Measure G is covering. So it's a very significant revenue source for the city. And I know we have to do good, we have to represent that, we have to really communicate how we're spending the money, but I just want to sort of put it in perspective how important that is. So with that, what you're going to budget future District 1 meeting, we're going to talk about economic development. For many of us, you've seen the Amazon facility going on the south end. That is in an ag industrial park. So that was going to include, when the city did that in 2010, the expectation was it was always going to have sort of big companies. It stayed fallow for almost 14 years, over a decade, for a lot of reasons. So now that's being invested there. And so those are the kind of things we need to attract. The councilmember talked about the air mobility, whether it's Archer, we need to bring those not only bring revenue, but they bring jobs. We've talked a lot about we need to diversify our job base. We need to bring jobs that provide a livable wage. It's going to be those types of jobs, technology jobs. So that's there. The other thing the city does is we go after retail. So just to put it in perspective, there's all sorts of retail. So you have your mom and pop, which are really the foundation of your community. Those are the ones that are a lot of times are donating, giving people their first jobs and so forth. Those generate sales taxes in the thousands, maybe 10,000. Then you kind of move up to your restaurants, to like your Burger Kings and all those. Those are in the tens of thousands of dollars of annual sales tax. Then you move up into your Chick-fil-A's, which we have one, your In-N-Outs. Those types of restaurants tend to be maybe approaching $100,000 in sales tax. So that's significant. Then you move into your retail, your larger retails. Supermarkets don't generate a lot of sales tax because a lot of what's sold there is in tax. So you have those levels. And then you get the Targets and so forth. So you get there, you get your auto malls, they generate a lot of sales tax. Then you get your Costco's. And those types of businesses, they're generating over millions of dollars in sales tax a year. And that's why city pursues it. And then you get to like the really big ones, like the Amazon Fulfillment Center. I know we've been talking a lot about Amazon. There's different forms of Amazons. There's distribution centers, which are not sales tax generators. There are fulfillment centers, which are sales tax generators. You're talking in the millions and millions of dollars annually. So that's why cities tend to go after those types of businesses if they can make sense, because they generate that kind of revenue source. So this you'll hear more about at the next meeting. So with that, we can have more questions. Where was it? This right here, I'm sorry, if you want to scan this will take you to our budget and brief that really summarizes all the big components in the budget. So, and this is a standing offer, and you can work through our team. If there are individuals or groups that want to know more about our budget, please reach out to my office and we will set up meetings to discuss it. Or if you want to send us questions, we can present it to you. Because I think it's important to be informed. So it's on our website, but if you want to kind of zoom in on that, you get to the budget and brief. Now I'd like to introduce Kristen Lundquist.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Lundquist, and I'm the Library and Community Services Director with the City of Salinas, and I'm happy to be here to give you an overview of our department and talk about some of our ongoing and future projects. Who's been to one of our parks in Salinas? Nice. How about Rec center. Okay? How about a library? Great. So that's really what we do. It's about building and creating community opportunities. And so whether you're, we're making sure we have our parks that are clean and safe and well maintained for our residents to use them, whether it's offering a variety of services and programs at one of our 5 recreation centers. We also support volunteer opportunities across the community and do our best to support and engage with residents. As well as, obviously, we have 3 libraries that are here to provide a number of services, provide opportunities and access to print materials as well, and digital materials. So some of the typical programs that you'll see with us are your standard story times. We do a lot of reading challenges. We have after-school programming. We offer a lot of adult and senior activities. I mentioned volunteer opportunities, teen and youth development programs across the city, resident engagement, meetings like this. Our staff is here to help facilitate and coordinate. I want to take a moment and thank our neighborhood services team who's here, Karina Silva and Monica Sardina, for your work on and literacy is super important to us. That's whether it's our early literacy opportunities or providing ESL classes, providing digital literacy. We offer a variety of things. So in 2016, we initiated a master planning effort, and the City Council adopted the Parks, Recreation, and Libraries Master Plan in July of 2019. Resident engagement is something that is always at the center for us. It's a critical component of what we do. And so throughout this process, that's where we held space, is to make sure community was providing the input. So we did a number of things. Our strategy included an online paper survey, 11 community meetings, 56 pop-up opportunities, 6 stakeholder discussions, and we had over 2,700 touch points. So we were thrilled with the level of input, and that's what really helped to drive our master plan. So part of the master plan involves a capital improvement plan, and that's that identifies a variety of costs associated with 56 different parks and facility projects, right? So it's a 20-year plan, and it identified a cost of $1.76 million. That's pretty significant. And we ranked all of the different projects based on a criteria that the community helped us identify. So I'm thrilled to say we've made some headway on that plan. That $1.76 million back in 2019 was pretty daunting. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan Act, we have done system-wide playground improvements as well as resurfacing. We've just completed the last of 4 brand new playgrounds, 2 of which were universal playgrounds, which means we provide opportunities for children of all abilities. And one of those universal playgrounds was at Williams Ranch Neighborhood Park, which is in District 1. The Hebron Family Center. Anybody familiar with the Hebron Family Center? Right? So we have a brand new recreation center that's being built currently, and that's really thanks to a state allocation of $8.1 million that Speaker Robert Rivas really helped to spearhead. We have some ARPA money invested in that, some general fund, as well as some CDBG funds. So we're working with our partners across the city for whether it's funding, whether it's help with Public Works, who's helping us build these projects. It really is a collaborative effort. Gloucester Park. People familiar with Gloucester?
Hey!
All right. So Gloucester Park is under construction. We received a $6.8 million grant through Prop 68. And thanks to Jose, who helped me at that time submit that grant. That's something that I think we're all really excited for and super thankful for that. We have issued a contract for the final phase of the Natividad Creek rehabilitation of the restrooms. So we're looking forward to completing that project, enhancing Natividad Creek Park. Ensign, who attended Ensign yesterday, right? That's a perfect example of what collaboration can do when you work with government, nonprofits, thanks to our collaboration with the Big Sur Land Trust, we have this brand new beautiful park. It's about 7 acres, and then we look forward to, in about a year, an additional 70 plus acres for a restoration area. So it's super important for our community. We look forward to really pushing out additional engagement and outreach opportunities on the library. We have a plan to really take a look at our library hours of operation and make sure that they are serving residents. And so we're going to be initiating some surveys soon around what residents would like to see from the libraries. And then finally, we're looking at doing new flooring at the John Steinbeck Library in the coming month. For the future, we're currently working on a District 5 Recreation Center. We're in the middle of a feasibility study of Northgate Park, which is the identified location. That feasibility study will provide a conceptual design for the park, for the recreation center and other amenities. It'll also identify costs associated with what that might look like. So we're really excited. And as you've seen, I think through our last slide, we're always looking for opportunities to find alternative funding sources. So it isn't the general fund that's always having to fund these projects. And so we'll continue to do that to allow us to move forward with our master plan implementation. And with that, I'll turn it over to community development. Luis, you're up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luis Rodriguez. I'm a community development analyst with the Housing and Community Development team. I am housed under the Community Development Department. We have different divisions: current planning, advanced planning, code enforcement, permits, you name it. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is housing. And a lot of this can't be done without the collaboration amongst all these different divisions. But for today's purpose, I will be sharing a little bit about activities going on in District 1. So the items that I'll be reviewing here in terms of housing initiatives, our division was able to achieve for the city a pro-housing designation. I'll jump into that a little bit more right now. We're going to go over a little bit about affordable housing and public facilities. Again, what's going on in District 1, future housing developments, and other housing efforts going on that are in District 1, but also across the going on across the city. So we have the pro-housing designation. This is a designation awarded by the state. The purpose of why we pursued this type of certification is because it allows, there's different funding pools in the state, and by having this type of designation, it allows us to tap into these other type of funds. Again, you heard that, we have limited amount of funds, so finding opportunities for us to get these different certifications so that we could help facilitate the housing creation in the city is very important. The other reason why we want this designation is because we get priority consideration for these grants. And we achieved this in 2023, so this is as more grants that are being available. This is super important. So again, within District 1, one of the affordable housing projects that it's in the pre-development phase is the 855 East Laurel. This is a collaboration with the county. The Board of Supervisors at the county just approved this plan. The way that we plugged into this affordable housing plan, or this affordable housing project, we have the top picture is the vision of what it might look like, but it's supposed to produce 132 units. We were able to plug in $500,000 for pre-development. Of those 132 units, they're going to be constructed in 2 phases, with the first phase generating 78 units, and the second phase will be 54 units. The city also released a notice of funding availability for $8 million. This was one of the projects that, one of the applications that we received. So currently we're still reviewing all these various applications. And so we're really excited to be able to help, produce units in District 1. There's more to come. But for the next project that we're really excited about, we are able to leverage HUD funding, specifically Community Development Block Grants, or CDBG. The Buckhorn Early Childhood Development Center, it's a collaboration with the Alisal Union School District. Where are we at here? Just behind Food for Less, the Early Childhood Development Center, the city was able to plug in $880,000. The city also owned that land, so it was approximately valued at about $1 million. So there was a heavy investment to get that project going. Now that the new school year has started, the classrooms is going to be used. That facility will serve up to 90 children and 15 school district staff. So it just went live. Kids are being able to access this amazing resource in the community. And lastly, as Kristen mentioned, the Nativity Creek Park, CDBG dollars are also being leveraged to help the rehabilitation efforts for that project, and the target is completion. We're aiming for end of the year, but again, this isn't possible without the collaboration of Library and Community Services, Public Works, and the rest of the Community Development Department team. So I want to bring to your attention, again, District 1. The city has approved 2 future growth area, and with the third one coming, which is the East Area Specific Plan. And these 3, the first 2 areas, the West Area Specific Plan, this one has a laser on it. The first West Area Specific Area Plan is supposed to produce about 4,340 units. The Central Area is supposed to produce about 3,911 units. And the East Area Specific Plan, which is still not adopted by the city, but it's projected to produce about 6,500 units. I think this was an important map because within District 1, we have, oops, that's not going to reflect. We have 2 overlapping future growth areas. The first one on the north side, we have the Central Area, and it's cut off a little bit. And then we have on the yellow mustard highlighted area on the lower middle section, we have the first tentative map application that we received. And so this, the East Area, again, East Area Specific Plan has not been adopted yet. This is supposed to, the target date for adoption on that one, which also includes the update to the general plan, is 2026. And the purpose of this adoption for the new general plan is to increase density and facilitate housing and economic development. It's all intersected. And so on the north part, where it says CASP, I want to zoom in a little bit more. And this is the first application within the Central Area Specific Plan that we received from Stonebridge. This particular Central Area Specific Plan was adopted in 2020, and this specific application by Stonebridge is supposed to produce 427 units with 135 inclusionary units over 6 phases. And so on the bottom left corner under phase 1, it's very hard to see, and I apologize for that. There's a little vertical sliver where it says phase 1 to the furthest right side. That is we received the very first application to break ground, projected for next year in April. This application is for a 38-unit multifamily application. So applications are coming in within the future growth areas. So I know a lot of folks are asking, when is construction going to start? So the very first sign of that is projected for next year for a 38-unit multifamily application. And so the next development in the future growth area within District 1 is the Barton Ranch. This application we received last year. A lot of questions around why it's taking so long for housing to produce housing. The state bill SB 330 is, in short, is a bill to streamline projects. And so under this SB 330, within the future growth area under District 1 or East Salinas by Williams and Baranda, we have this map right here. Currently where we're at with this particular project received last year in May, what you're seeing right there is the application for 852 units. They have, because they are generating greater than 10 units, they are subject to our inclusionary ordinance. The previous plan, we do have an executed plan with the developer. With this plan right now, we are not at that stage yet. So we're still figuring out with the applicant on the pre-development side, the configuration and unit mix. But advanced planning did mention that for the whole east area specific plan, which in the previous picture is the mustard yellow section of this map, they're targeting for a approval in winter. End of this calendar year is what they're projecting right now. Lastly, the other efforts that we are involved in to facilitate the creation of housing units is through a pre-approved plan for accessory dwelling units. We do have some plans that if people are interested, you can come into the Community Development Center and use the pre-approved plans to build your own ADU in your home. I mentioned earlier for notice of funding availability, we issued this about a month ago. $8 million, we received about 5 applications. They're currently being reviewed. Some of these projects are focused around some of the parcels within the city that are not currently being used. So this is a very exciting effort for us. We will be taking this to City Council. Our target is in October for the recommendations. And lastly, other efforts that housing has been involved in is with the rental registry and rental stabilization. The ordinance was approved in April of 2023, and rental stabilization was approved in September 2024. However, it was repealed in June of this year, 2025. July 3rd, the referendum petition opposing the repeal ordinance was submitted July 3rd. The county validated and certified the petition August 15th of this year. And it looks like there's a target date for September 9th of this year to, one of two things will happen. City Council will determine if they're gonna rescind their initial decision or so that the program continues, or they will take this item to the voters through a special election. So as you can see, this is housing and development and community development as a whole have our hands in a whole community development or economic development. So this couldn't be done without the great collaboration from all city departments. And with that, I will pass it over to David Jacobs.
Good evening, I'm David Jacobs, I'm the Director of Public Works. Tonight I'll tell you a little bit about Public Works. I have 4 divisions in Public Works. One is engineering, the other one is sustainable, oh actually, those are all under, sorry. So I have engineering, I have GIS, and, So I have engineering, GIS, maintenance services, and administration in Public Works. A lot of the stuff that happens in Public Works, the technical side is under engineering department. And these items include sustainability and stormwater services. Engineering deals with projects. They design projects, put them out to bid, look at them or inspect them during construction. And there's also a development side of engineering where anybody that wants to come in for a development, we have to make sure that they are abiding by our specifications and our general construction goals. That's wrong too, sorry. So we have standard plans that have to be met. So we check our plans that come in to make sure that they are meeting our plans and our specifications for work so that we get a quality product when it's done. We also do encroachment permits. So anytime you see contractors out on the roadway, they have to come through engineering to get a permit to do that work. We need to track where those contractors are working to make sure that they are doing the work properly, and if there's a failure at a location, we know who was at that location doing that work, so that we can go back and make sure that they fix it properly. Moving on to sustainability, those folks are looking at our franchise agreement with Republic Services, making sure that they're following the rules in the franchise agreement. They're looking at better ways to do things in terms of purchasing electricity, gas, also doing recycling, making sure everybody's following the rules in terms of let's put recycling bins in the park so that we can get more recyclables done and not mix that with trash. Well, they're doing that work right now. Then we also have our stormwater or MPS permit side of things, and those are the folks that are out there trying to make sure that everybody is abiding by the rules for stormwater. So there's a lot of water that hits the ground and runs off. We want that water to be clean as it goes into our basins and percolates into the ground for groundwater storage, or if it gets into the creeks, it goes out to the ocean. We want to make sure that's as clean as possible so it's not affecting the wildlife that's in those creeks and in the ocean. So that's part of the stormwater folks out there. They're constantly monitoring where the water's coming from, what kind of contaminants in that water, and how we can clean it up to make it better for the environment. We also have our GIS system, and most of the maps that you see that are generated from the city come from our GIS system. Our GIS system has all the information in it in terms of parcels, ownership of the parcels, where city owns property. We're also doing project maps and economic development maps showing where there's opportunities in the city. All that stuff is generated by the GIS department within Public Works. What's our next one? Oh, so now we go into maintenance, which is a really big side of Public Works. It has a lot of different divisions going on inside the maintenance services. We have our street crew. They do several different things. They're out there doing pothole patches. They're doing sidewalk repairs. They're doing, as you see in this picture, they're doing crack filling. They also have the street lights, the street signs, the the stealing of copper wire that's going on throughout the city. There's a crew within the street department that goes out there and repulls that wire to get those street lights back up and operational. We have a urban forestry division that oversees 30,000 trees, street trees within the city. So we get a lot of complaints about trees. Yeah, we have 9 guys in that division that have to deal with those 30,000 trees. We have contractors as well that do mostly grid pruning, where they go out and do a whole neighborhood pruning wise. But the majority of the work is done by our 9-man crew within public urban forestry. We also have the fleet maintenance crew, and they maintain 600 vehicles for the city of Salinas. And those vehicles range from size from a mower all the way up to a sewer truck, a vac truck that you see servicing the sewer lines in the city of Salinas. So that's all serviced by the fleet department. We also upfit our own police vehicles. So we purchase vehicles from whoever has the best price. They bring the vehicles in. We purchase the equipment, and we have a mechanic that actually puts that equipment on the police vehicles and gets them out to the police department. Before we did that, there was a 1 year to a 2-year wait for an upfitted vehicle to come into the city of Salinas. So we'd order a vehicle, brand new vehicle, it'd go in Sacramento and sit there for 2 years before we get it back fully equipped for the getting on the road. We can now turn around a vehicle in about a month. We get those vehicles in, we get them upfitted, we get them out into the street. So we're improving the quality of the police vehicles on our streets right now through the Public Works Department. We also have our industrial waste facility folks, and there's 23 facilities in our industrial park that take industrial waste and send it out to our industrial treatment facility. That industrial facility is south of Salinas off of Davis Road, and there's about 4 million gallons of water a day that goes into that facility. It's aerated and pumped into our beds, and it's evaporated and sent into our drying beds. We also send some of it to Monterey One Water. And also the CSIP project that was talked about before, if there's a need for water, they'll come to us and ask to pump some of our water out of our pond so that they can use it, treat it, and then use it for the CSIP project or even to water crops in the Castroville area. So we also have a sewer line crew. They service the sanitary sewer and the storm line sewers. So the sanitary sewers is what happens when you flush your toilet or take a shower. That water goes into the sanitary sewer. It runs through our system and it is pumped out to Monterey One Water. Monterey One Water treats the water and either reuses it or sends it out to the ocean. So we also have storm line systems. And again, that's where our NPS system comes in. Our stormwater folks monitor what water comes in. These folks go out there and make sure that those lines are clean and ready for the storms. When it's storm season, they go out there and make sure they clean the catch basins so that they're clear of debris so that the water flows good through them and it doesn't get backed up and cause flooding issues. So they do that. October time frame is when they'll start doing that. So you'll see them working out on the storm lines. So some of the main things of Public Works, I have 118 employees in my division. Street division, which does a whole bunch of stuff, only has 21 guys. So they're responsible for maintaining 292 miles of streets and 492 miles of sidewalks. So we get a lot of complaints of potholes and sidewalks, and those 21 guys are out there trying to deal with those requests for services and Q Alert. But please continue to put them in because we need to know where the problems are in the city, especially on the sidewalks. If there's a tripping hazard, we go out there and we patch it temporarily until we can get to it on a permanent basis. And our permanent list is 2,600 people long. So it's about a 20-year wait. If you have a problem with your sidewalk and you report it today, hopefully in 20 years we'll go out there and fix it. until we come up with a better way of dealing with the sidewalks, that's our current system. We do have projects every year to repair sidewalks, which brings down that list a little bit, but it's still a long list to get to. So some of the current constructions we have going on right now, we have our 2025 street project that should be getting going here in the next week or so. We have our 2025 sidewalk projects that's currently under construction. We have a Main and Lamar pedestrian improvements that is currently under construction. We have an industrial waste treatment plant improvement project, and that's actually a project that we got state grant for, and that's to try to reuse our stormwater and put it through our industrial plant so that Monterey One Water and CSIP can use the stormwater in the future. So this is just an improvement project to try to transfer stormwater over to our plant. There's still several different more steps to come for that particular project. We're going to try to get more grant money, but the first phase of it is ongoing currently. And of course, you should know about the Veranda Road project. It got started about a month ago now. It's fully operational. Probably a lot of traffic delays going on as it's going toward the finish. It should be done about this time next year. We also have, we're installing solar panels at El Gavilan Library. And if Kristen talked about Hebron, and she talked about Gloucester Park, engineering and public works is involved with both of those projects to make sure that they're up to our standards. A couple of projects that are upcoming. We have a Safe Streets for All project on Williams Road. That's a $16 million grant we got. It's right now just starting the process of looking at design and starting outreach, so it'll probably be another 6 months or so before you really start seeing a whole lot of stuff with that. We have the McKinnon Safe Routes to School project. That's currently in design. That project won't go to construction until the Veranda Phase 1 project is complete, because a lot of people are using that McKinnon Hardin Ranch Parkway as a way to get around the construction. We also have a 2026 street improvement project and a 2026 sidewalk improvement project. We're working on the design. We don't finalize those projects until the budget year is done and then we know how much money we have to apply to those two projects. But we are in the process of planning them. We get a lot of the streets that we need to get done in a list, and then once we know the number, we can put a project together and bid it out. We're also looking at starting the Veranda Road Phase 2 design, and that's probably a year project where we design all the way to Natividad, the next phase. Then the process will start in terms of where the money comes from to do the construction of that. So, but at least we'll have the design done on that project. We also have an industrial sewer lift station improvements. All that industrials goes into an older lift station that needs to be improved. We have the plans, we just need to find the money to do the work. We also have a Lake Street lift station project that's really affected by the future growth area, and how fast that actually improves is how fast we need to get the Lake Street project going. And we're in the design now, looking at how we fund it. Right now we're hoping that the sewer rate increase goes forward, then we can bond for that project and have money to do the construction. We also are looking at installing solar panels at the PD building. And we also have a Chinatown sidewalk project that's moving forward in the design. So that's it for me. Questions?
So before I hand it off, just want to clarify a few things on the rental stabilization rental ordinance. As you heard from Luis, it was certified by the county. It's actually going to the council next Tuesday. For them to consider, and the options moving forward is repeal the repeal, like we said, set it for a special election instead of for a general election. So there are a few options that will go in front of the council, but It's not, the first look at the county stuff's gonna be next Tuesday. So the agenda will be posted at the end of the week. Anyway, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your presentations. Let's give them one more round of applause. So let's get ready for questions and answers. Let's remember our group agreements and be respectful of the time and space that we're in. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, and what's your question?
I have a question, a follow-up on what you just said about the rent. So how does that work? So does that mean that the property owners that already paid for their units and registered them, if this is repealed, they get their money back? Or if it goes through, does that actually start and cover them from the time that that law passes until that full calendar year? Or are they just out of their money
No.
because they followed the rules and paid when they thought it was going to start?
So it depends what's gonna happen.
Okay.
So part of the conversation with the council is giving us direction, and then we can come back and inform them. So part of the direction would be, let's just say for the sake of argument, so right now where we're at with it is, it's going to stay in effect. If you repeal the ordinance, the program stays in effect. If it gets set for election, whether it's a special or a general election, the program stays in effect.
Which is retroactive to when it
So-
started back in April?
Yeah, so nothing
Okay,
really changes. From a fee perspective, we're gonna have to look back at the program, because now we now have not quite a year, but a little bit more information, kind of what the costs were, what the fee, and we'll probably look at adjusting, if we have to return money, we'll return money and all that. It's hard for me to give you a direct answer, because we don't know yet the direction of the council.
Oh, yeah, and I was just kind of
But-
curious, because I know that there's owners that already registered and they paid, and now they're like in limbo because they have no clue what is happening.
So, our responsibility based on council direction is to be as fair and transparent as possible. So once we get the direction, we'll come back and do a full report. I know the team's been working with Orlando, Luis, and the team's been looking at all our costs, everything that came in, so there's be a complete accounting of where we're at.
Okay,
And then based on that, and based on council direction, we'll present options to the council.
and I'm assuming all that will be communicated once the decision is made of what is happening?
That's correct,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So there's still a lot sort of up in the air, but regardless of what happens, it's going to stay in place a little longer. If we get to an election, it gets repealed.
Okay.
So based on that, we have to account for that time and then kind of see what happens, right? And then if it goes to the election, we got to wait and see what the residents, the citizens of the community, what the community speaks, and then we'll adjust accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions back there?
What's the contributing factor that will determine either it being a special election or in the general election? Is it just up to the council vote, or?
Yes. So we'll present the information to the council, we go there. There will be costs. We don't have the full cost yet, so we will present the cost and the council will decide. So there's really no consideration. I mean, it's public input, it's the council decision, and, you know, it's actually that pretty straightforward. So there are options the council will have, and the council just needs to select which one. From a cost perspective, the special election will be a little more costly than a general election, so we'll have that information to the council.
And sorry to follow up on his. So when would general elections be if it went to a general election?
So we're probably looking at November.
So from September to November,
Yeah.
the council might consider spending extra money for a special election? If
Yeah,
you
but
can't wait till November?
Well, I don't know the answer to that
Okay.
question. That's
No,
up to
no,
the...
I mean, we have two council
Yeah,
members here.
yeah, but they're not, but they haven't presented the information. So
Okay.
that's really the option that the council is going to be presenting.
Okay.
So if you think about it like a, kind of like a decision tree,
Yeah,
right, let's just
no,
say...
and I get it, I just was curious, I thought maybe it was like, we're waiting a whole year or something.
No. The
So we're
decision-
talking about months.
The decision we made what we're going to do,
Okay.
right? And then the other thing is, which we're trying to figure out, there are timelines to put things on the ballot. And there are timelines to consolidate elections and so forth. And the registrar of the state, the county, needs to give us those timelines. So we might want to take something next week, and I can't. There's no way that's possible. So we have to have that information so we can present it to the council so they can make an informed decision.
Any other questions? Raise a hand. Paco?
Just for clarification, we heard November. Is that November 2025 of this year or November 2026 of next?
26.
November
Oh, so it is a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like this November.
Thank you, thanks for that clarification.
So yeah, so it is.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions or comments?
I'm over here.
Oh, sorry.
Just more of a direct question to admin, parks, public works. Has anyone been out to the bathrooms at Natividad Creek Park in the last week or so? Or the portables, I should say. And the reason I ask this project was initially supposed to be a 90-day project in 2023, and we're going on, almost 2.5 years. So it's, I would say hundreds, maybe thousands of people go out this weekend. There was a huge festival. It was disgusting.
So I have not been out in the last week. We do check it regularly. We have 5-day-a-week service for those portable restrooms, and our team, our park maintenance team, is checking them regularly every day to see if we need to add additional paper products. If there's graffiti, we're addressing that. We are on top of that as best we can. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't utilize them for their intended purposes, and so it takes us some time to be notified that there's an issue for us to address it. So if you see that there's a problem, I would encourage you to reach out to us, Anna or myself, and we will respond and address that immediately. We'll take a look tomorrow and see what the status looks like right now. We do require special events to bring in additional portable restrooms as well, but sometimes it's hard to gauge the level of people that you're going to have. So we'll take a look at it and make sure they get addressed immediately.
And is there a timeline? I know there's been a lot going on with that project. Is there an expected timeline now that a contractor has been reselected?
I'm going to ask for support from either Public Works or Community Development on timeline.
Yeah, we have 60 days on that contract, and we just awarded the project. Thank you.
So it means 60 days from now to be completed or to get started?
60 working days, and it's not from now. So what we do is, everything's a process, right? What we do is we collect all the submittals and the information that needs to go towards the project. And once everything's approved, then we give them the notice to proceed. And that's when the clock starts ticking.
So is that possibility that it's going to be done before the year end, or?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Back here.
Disculpe, señor, volviendo al tema de la estabilización de la renta, yo tengo una pregunta, todavía estoy confundido. Yo llevo 2 meses pagando el aumento de $300 de mi renta. Desde el mes de julio, agosto, ya he pagado $600 de aumento. Y ahora no sé qué va a pasar para el mes de septiembre. Si sigo pagando el aumento, aunque todavía no se define qué es lo que va a pasar con este asunto. Estoy un poco confundido, no sé qué hacer. De hecho, ya hablé con el propietario, le dije pero no me respondió, le mandé un mensaje diciéndole que, señor, todavía no se sabe qué va a pasar. La comunidad está trabajando en este asunto, pero le voy a adelantar los $300 como una prueba de que yo no me estoy negando a pagar eso, pero se está trabajando en eso. El señor no me respondió.
Bueno,
Okay, you want me to
Yeah, go.
Okay. So the thing is that I'm still a little confused regarding the ordinance, because the thing is that I am still paying the $300 increase. Up to the date, I paid $600, but now that the ordinance, we don't know what's the situation of the ordinance. I don't know if I should continue paying or not. I got in touch with my landlord, and he says that he doesn't know what's going to happen, anyway, I've given him the $300 just to show good faith, but I would like to know what's going to happen. If the ordinance is going to make me pay this increase, is it, what am I gonna do?
Okay, so you got that question. The rental, the program is still in effect. I know we got the information out there. So you would have to come and report it to us and avail yourself of that portion of the ordinance. So the ordinances are still in effect. I know there's been a lot of confusion when we put it out there, that the ordinance right now are still, all of them are applicable. So under the rent, the unjust and all those portions of the ordinance, if you report it and you work through the system, we have a process to be able to address it. But we don't know unless people tell us. So you need to tell us if there's issues, and then we'll work through it. Our housing unit and our community development, we have hearing officers, we have a process to deal with it. That's all still in effect. So we have to be communicated with if people are increasing the rent more than what the current ordinance allows.
City manager, who do they report to?
Right here. Community development, just go to housing.
A person.
Or just go to community development. I know it's been confusing, but we were very clear that all the ordinances are still in effect. They were not eliminated because of the referendum process. So that paused everything. And just to be very, 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 very clear, if the council repeals the repeal, then the ordinances are in effect. If the council puts it to the vote for the community, the ordinances are still in effect until the community decides. And everybody, all the organizations that are working to support it should be communicating that. So I get a little frustrated because we've been messaging it and nobody's telling us these problems. So we cannot respond unless we're told these problems. So again, let me just repeat this. The ordinance today are still in effect. If they go to the council has a decision to make. They repeal the repeal, so the ordinances are still in effect. They set them to the vote, whether it's a special or general election, the ordinance will be in effect until the community decides. Then after the community decides, if they repeal it, then it's repealed. If it's not repealed, they're still in effect. So hopefully I'm not being too confusing, but they're still in effect. So please inform us if there are any issues.
And just in support of what you're saying, I've seen a lot of documentation that is shared with the organizations that support it, and nowhere have I ever seen where it says you can go here if you need help, or like a direct link or anything. So if there's anybody here from organizations like that, maybe that's where the focus should be, because we really don't, I don't think people understand that they have to take a step in order for their rights.
Right, and I know if you go on our website, there's a whole page and a whole section on
If
that.
they know to go to the website.
Exactly, no, I hear your point, but, you know.
Yes.
So anyway, again, answer to the question. So si todavía las ordenancias están en efecto, so por favor comuníquese con el equipo y así podemos saber cómo se puede ayudar.
Sí, gracias, señor. Pues yo no sé a dónde acudir, con quién decir, porque pues hay muchos, yo sé, en mi caso personal tengo las pruebas contundentes de que he recibido llamado del propietario diciendo: Anastasio, primero lo iba a hacer solamente por llamar, Anastasio, te voy a aumentar la renta. Le dije yo, no, me mandas, o le mandé, yo pago $2,100, pero después me dijo, te faltan otros 300, Anastasio. Le dije yo, ¿por qué razón? Sí, porque ya te estoy aumentando 300. Le dije yo, no, por llamada no. Necesito que usted me elabore una carta para que yo tenga una prueba de que usted me está subiendo la renta. Le dije, lo obligué a que me diera una carta, porque quería por teléfono. Le dije, Anastasio, ya te avisé por teléfono. Le dije yo, no es válido eso.
Yes, the thing is that my landlord, he called me and he said that he was going to increase the rent. I paid $2,100, and when I paid it, he said, you're missing $300. He just wanted to increase the rent by a simple phone call, and I said, no, you can't do that. I need you to give me a document. The thing is that I don't know who to turn to, and I don't know what to do.
Anyway, like I said, please avail yourself of the team, and then we will move forward and go through the process and address it.
gracias.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your answer. Any other questions?
Gracias. ¿Una pregunta más?
I had seen her hand first.
Tengo que ir primero con...
Ok, mi nombre es Lidia Soto, referente a lo que dijo el administrador. Las personas que están defendiendo las ordenanzas deberían de estar informando sobre que las ordenanzas están activas. Sí lo estamos haciendo. Una de las cosas que hemos estado escuchando de la comunidad es que están hablando al Departamento de Desarrollo Comunitario a hacer las quejas, y la respuesta del Departamento de Desarrollo Comunitario es paguen su aumento, cúbranse ustedes porque no sabemos qué va a pasar con las ordenanzas. Esa es la respuesta. ¿Sí? ¿Qué quiere decir eso? No queremos hacer el trabajo o no sabemos qué hacer por la confusión que creó todo este concilio decidiendo revocar las ordenanzas que ya estaban en vigor. Toda esta confusión la creó los mismos concejales nuevos representando esta ciudad, esta comunidad. Y aquí está uno de ellos, el líder, para revocar estas ordenanzas.
¿Y la pregunta?
La pregunta no es pregunta, estoy contestando a lo que usted dijo. Usted dijo, las personas que están defendiendo esto deberían de estar informando. ¿Y qué es la disponibilidad del Departamento de Desarrollo Comunitario? ¿Qué es la disponibilidad de usted? ¿Qué es la disponibilidad del concejal para comunicar con la ciudad? ¿Cuál es? En igual de señalar a personas que deben de ser eso.
So my name is Nidia Soto, and I want to do is I want to talk about the ordinance and about a comment that the city manager said. She said that the people that are defending the ordinance are the ones that have to be answering the questions. But the thing is that we are informing the community, we are telling them that the ordinance is still in effect, but when they call community services and tell them about the problems that they are having, what they're answering is they're saying, you should just pay the increase of the rent, cover your back, because we really don't know what's going to happen with the ordinance. So that is what they're answering. There's confusion. They don't know what to answer, or they don't want to do their job. And the thing is that, sorry, I got lost. Also, the thing is that we know that right now the ordinance is still in effect, and all this confusion was created by the new council, because when the new council members came and repealed this ordinance, it's that they created all this chaos. And we have here one of the leaders of this repeal. So I'm not really asking a question, I'm just responding to a comment that you made regarding the fact that you're saying that the people that are defending the ordinance should be informing. We are doing that. But also, what are you doing? You also have to be open to speaking with the community.
Juanita, ¿tenía otra pregunta usted?
Bueno, sí pregunta. Creo que desde que se hizo la revocación de estas ordenanzas, desafortunadamente por 5 miembros del concilio, afortunadamente fuimos parte de los miembros de los voluntarios que recabaron todas esas firmas para poder lograr este referéndum, y digo es que gracias a la comunidad. Entonces, ahorita como parte del concilio, si desde que sabía el concilio que esto estaba revocado, entre comillas, pero estaban vigentes, ¿por qué no se hizo una notificación general a la comunidad, a toda la ciudad, diciendo, ok, están revocadas pero están vigentes? Y eso hubiera creado un poquito más de estabilidad, porque ahorita toda la comunidad, me tocó también, muchísimos comentarios me están subiendo ya la renta. Recibimos cartas de los propietarios diciendo que las ordenanzas se habían revocado y ahora tengo que pagar mi renta, tengo que pagar ese aumento. Entonces, estoy de acuerdo con todos los comentarios. Se hizo una revocación por 5 miembros del consejo, pero también creo que hubiéramos hecho, y digo hubiéramos porque soy también parte de la comunidad, hubiéramos hecho un anuncio. ¿Saben qué comunidad en general de Salinas, residentes? Se revocó, pero sigue en vigor hasta que se solucione esto. Afortunadamente ya tenemos la certificación del referéndum y pasó. Ahorita nada más les toca al concilio tomar una buena decisión por el bien de toda la comunidad. ¿Por qué? Porque los que estamos temblando somos las personas que realmente pagamos ese precio. Entonces creo que viene nada más con eso. Y también a mí me pasó lo mismo, que muchos comentarios de que han llamado al departamento y también la respuesta ha sido: no sabemos, ustedes paguen su renta, guarden sus comprobantes y cuando se solucione esto, entonces vamos a hacerlo. Lo mismo, ¿verdad? No estamos culpando a nadie, pero creo yo que se hubiera colocado un aviso. Se revocaron, pero están vigentes. Y creo que esa es la parte que no se ha entendido. Ustedes a lo mejor lo entienden porque están trabajando dentro de los departamentos de la ciudad, pero la ciudadanía en general, todos los ciudadanos no lo sabemos. Esa es
muy buena
Let me come right there. Yeah. So the thing is that I am one of the volunteers that I'm working with the community, and thank God the referendum passed. But the thing is that when the referendum passed, it brought a lot of confusion. So why didn't the city council just, do it public and let the community know that even though it was repealed, it is still in effect? So I think that was something that the city council should have done, because it's really confusing. A lot of people don't know what is going on, so I really think the city should have announced the fact that the ordinances are still in effect. Yes, there's a lot of confusion. I've also called, and when we call, they tell us that they don't know what's going on, that we should just pay and keep our receipts, and then they don't know what's going to happen. And the thing is that I think you guys understand it a little bit more because you work at the city council. You know what's going on. But for the community and the people that don't really know what's going on, it is important to hear from you and know what is going to happen.
Pero iba a decir que es buena sugerencia el cómo nosotros podemos transmitir lo que está pasando, porque sí, tal vez nosotros, como estamos dentro del sistema y lo vemos seguido, tal vez no es lo mismo cuando ustedes lo ven. Entonces, ¿cómo podemos nosotros simplificar ese mensaje? Gracias.
Y mi otro comentario es gracias a cada departamento por el trabajo que están haciendo. Y también es bueno todo el trabajo que ustedes hacen, pero también, como lo comentaba, ¿verdad? También es bueno que ustedes mismos salgan a las áreas donde se están haciendo los trabajos. Ahorita tenemos una situación en la calle del Monte, viene en el mero cruce, está un bache gigantísimo. Todo el mundo le damos vuelta a ese bache. Pasan ahí los de obras que están trabajando y es increíble que no lo vean y puedan hacer algo. Yo por mucho tiempo en el concilio, en Zooms, he reportado la luz que está sobre Boronda, están totalmente fundidas todas las lámparas. Yo circulo muy de madrugada, está totalmente oscuro, hay más hombres pasando por ahí y realmente uno conduce con mucho temor, porque se atraviesa alguien con bicicleta, y quién va a ser el culpable si hay un atropellamiento, si hay un accidente, los conductores. Entonces, creo que esto de la luz es muy excelente el trabajo que están haciendo cada uno de los departamentos, pero alumbrado público es esencial en toda la ciudad. Y yo solamente he pasado una o dos calles que he estado reportando muy seguido. Y realmente hasta el momento, no quiero esperar otros 20 años como dijo, pero sí queremos ver un efecto bueno. Están haciendo un muy buen trabajo, ha habido muchas mejorías en la ciudad, pero nos faltan puntos que son muy claros.
So another thing that I want to say thank you to all the departments. You are really doing a good job, and I really appreciate all the advances and all the reports that you're giving us, but there's still a lot to do. Like, for example, in Calle del Monte, there's this giant pothole that we can't even go through it. We have to go around it. There's a lot of trucks that go through there, and nobody can stop and fix it. Also, another thing that I have reported repeatedly is on Boronda Street, we don't have any city lights. It is really, really dark. I have to leave my house very early to work, and it's very dark. There's a lot of homeless people on bikes, and what happens if, God forbid, we hit one of these people? We're the ones that are at fault. So yes, I've been calling through Zoom, I've been giving public comments so they can, because public lights is really important, and I really don't want to wait 20 years for this to get fixed.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I actually had a question for the gentleman, and I'm sorry, Public Works, are not sure exactly what it is. You said that there was about a 20-year wait for reports, on items that are reported. Is there a prioritization system? Is it based on risk factors? Is it based on a first come, first serve? How are those tickets or whatever prioritized?
Yeah, the sidewalks is what has a 20-year wait, and it's a first come, first serve.
Okay.
We started this list back in probably 2000 or 1990. We're now in the 2001, so if you reported in 2001, you're at the top of the list. And what they do is they go to whoever's on the top of the list, we go to that address, and we try to find at least 3 more in that same vicinity that are also broken and are close in terms of time frame to that. So we're not wasting our time jumping around all the cities. So we're in one area for a week replacing the sidewalks in that area. And the problem is that most of the time these sidewalks are broken by the trees. The tree needs to be removed, and there's, again, urban forestry needs to get there to remove the tree. So all those things go into play when we're talking about getting sidewalks done.
So this is the 20-year wait was specific to sidewalks.
Correct. Yes.
So how about our lights? I mean, I know she mentioned the lights in Baranda, but it's the same thing for the lights. All of the lights on Sanborn from Baranda to Freedom are also out, and they've been reported repeatedly. And I have to say, I don't know if anybody here manages or oversees the Salinas Connect application. It is the worst reporting application for lights. They want the box number, the light number, my social security number, and God's direct number to report it. Like, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, we can tell you it's the light between Sanborn and Baranda, but we don't know box numbers, and we're not about, there's no parking there. We can't just stop and park to get you that information. So, and it won't open the ticket unless you have all that. Like, I mean, there's no way to report these. So I mean, what's holding up the lights? Like, the lights she says and the ones I say are all within a mile of each other, and it's like, if there's 10 lights, 8 of them are out. Like, and they've been like that for over a year.
Well, most likely that is caused by copper theft.
Okay.
So there's people in the community that are there's people in the community that are breaking into our boxes, grabbing the wire and yanking it out. Okay. And that takes several blocks of lights out depending on which box they get into. And I have a crew of 2 guys that are going all throughout the city and trying to replace this copper wire. So no, it's not. It shouldn't be a 20-year wait. Okay. but they've been off for more than a year. They have. I'm surprised that we haven't got to it because we're constantly going around and pulling new wire to get the lights back up. We also have found a lid that is basically unbreakable that we're putting in to the locations. We pull wire in, we put these lids in, and hopefully they're secure now. So they're going to go someplace else in the city and break those and grab that. So eventually we'll have these boxes throughout the city, but they are expensive, and it does take time. With only 2 guys pulling these wires, it does take time. But I'll look into the Sanborn.
And that makes sense. It's just when you were presenting, I thought you meant a 20-year wait on all things were reported. I was like, that's ridiculous.
No, it's just a
okay. And then just to go along with that question, like for District 1, is there a way that we can report things like this, like lights that are really hard to report on the Connect app? Is there a forum that you communicate with your district through? I mean, I haven't really seen anything from you. I mean, it's great, all this other stuff that you're doing, but I haven't seen anything where it's an improvement to our actual district, which you represent. Like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, but we're coming from a council member that just passed that did nothing for us. She didn't communicate, she didn't respond, she did absolutely nothing. So we've basically been without representation for a really long time. the one prior to her was amazing. He pulled records of how many reports for our district were made, how many were fixed, how many were pending. If we weren't getting feedback, he would get it for us. So we haven't had that in a really long time. So I don't know if there's a best way to get in contact with you. I recently saw the report of the lights on a Facebook group, and I saw 2 council members jump in for their district right away. But I don't know if you're on Facebook, if you're on social media. But those 2 council members stepped in. They said, this is my area, we'll follow up. But we don't know how to get in contact with you.
Well, I'll touch the contact component first. The best way to get in contact with me would just be to go ahead and reach out. Our information is publicly available on the city's website.
So reach out, like call you or email you? Because I tried through social media and you don't respond.
Yeah, I was going to say, social media, I don't really manage more beyond posting because due to kind of time and constraints and limitations. So on social media, I just go out to publicly communicate.
Okay.
I'm not really too deep into the weeds of
Yeah, I tried private messaging you and I don't get anything. I tried on your post and you never respond, so I was like, maybe he has
but very responsive to emails or like if our phone number is also a cell phone number, so you can also shoot me a text, we can schedule some time. Aside from that, any request that comes to our email.
Because it would just be nice to hear what you're actually doing in our district. Like that, I think it would make a big difference. We have so much garbage on the streets. There's easy things that could be fixed with you organizing a bunch of people to pick up litter. Like it's not no 20-year wait or $1 million from our budget, right?
On the litter issue, we do have a community cleanup coming up next month. So a lot of those things we are working behind the scenes, but we're just waiting on communicating that information. To touch lightly also on the sidewalks component and streets and sidewalks. This year, on this current budget, the council approved a 267% increase in how much we're investing in streets and sidewalks. So the previous funding allocation was $750,000 for the entire fiscal year. This year, we approved $2.7 million. Right?
For sidewalks?
For streets and sidewalks.
Assuming they have time in their 20 years.
So that $2.7 million is our good faith commitment to the community to delivering results on streets and sidewalks, right? Streets and sidewalks are a very big concern for everyone.
And how is that distributed amongst the districts?
That's up to the Public Works Department to figure out, again, in terms of what's on the priority list and what are some of the upcoming projects and what's in the pipeline. They also have to factor into consideration other projects that are also in the pipeline, like for example, the Williams Road expansion project, right? We wouldn't immediately go into work on there if we know that there's a project coming in the pipeline that's going to completely upend and require undergrounding work and other things like that. So there's some timing and components. There's the art and the science component to it. That would be more so the art component of figuring out what are all the moving parts.
Thank you for your question.
I think it's just an expansion of that. I think it's great. It's the projects that you take in our visions, but they're also long-term. And I think as a community, we want to know what to expect from you. So with this millions of dollars into sidewalks and roads, what can we expect from you to advocate for District 1 so that we ensure that Public Works knows, hey, these are my priorities. This is how, because it's like a two-way, communication between us. And so if you're not listening or if you're not taking note of the community needs, then
and maybe you are, but we just don't know where you're communicating.
Yeah, I come to the parent meetings, the groups here at Alisal High School every now and then where they send an invitation, same for the Plaza Middle School.
But I don't have kids, so I'm not going to go to school for a meeting.
Yeah.
So, but social media is so easy to just send out a message and we all see it. There has to be easier.
And we'll continuously work on communicating different activities and different projects. One of the things that I've been trying to work on internally is trying to figure out a system, like you mentioned, to communicate things to residents, particularly District 1 residents, in a more streamlined way, almost like a forum, but working out what those works are, on the back end. But I plan on having a little bit more of a robust community engagement plan, particularly for my district in the coming months, that I'll be able to have more regular events with you guys, whether it's like just a informal coffee meetup where we're not talking about specific topics, right? Maybe it's just share your concerns, right? Today's meeting was more updates on what are some of the things that we've been working on, what are some things in the pipeline, and what are the things that we can expect in the future. But other opportunities to just share, hey, let's have some coffee, share what your concerns are for your meeting, right? And also welcome you all, if you guys have any community groups that you're a part of and would like me to join you all, happy to join you all, right? CCA, BHC, the times that they ask for meetings, giving them meetings, right? Any group that's reached out, neighborhood watch groups, out on Constitution, then you're the interactive neighborhood, they've reached out, I've taken meetings with them. So if you have any other forum, I'm happy to schedule some time to make it to your group, whether it's your neighborhood, meet up at a park or some other way. If you have any other ideas, I'm happy to.
Right here, Amor Salinas.
Yes.
You've had your hand up for a while.
A question regarding the economic development. What are other areas that are being targeted for economic development across District 1 other than the airport plan? And just to touch about what was being discussed of the sidewalks, as a student, how do you plan on improving pedestrian safety? If so, are there any plans for potential additional beacon sidewalks in District 1 school zones? And also, what is being taken to improve hazardous sidewalks that have been reported for maintenance and address streetlights that have been dysfunctional for over a period of time?
Can you just repeat? It's like 4 or 5 different questions.
The first question,
one. Yeah.
what other areas are being targeted other than the airport plan for economic development across District 1?
Well, first and foremost, we don't have an economic development department, right? We're the largest city on the 101 between San Jose all the way down to Oxnard, and we don't have an economic development department. City of Soledad, with less than 30,000 residents, which is less people than are in District 1, they have a 4 to 5% economic development, right? So it starts with having the bodies on staff that can undertake these efforts. Currently, as I understand it, our assistant city manager has been the one taking the lead on economic development initiatives, but she's only been around for a few months, and she'll be the point person on city administration to help lead those efforts. We actually just posted last week the job posting for a deputy economic development director, which is part of like what I would consider one of our budget wins. Is we finally approved the funding to actually have an economic development department to help get that up and running. Once that person's hired, they'll be able to create an economic development plan, right? Aside from what other parts of the city that I'm working with and targeting, in District 1 in particular, one of them is a soccer complex, right? So identifying ways that we can attract more activities or events to the soccer complex, but that goes hand in hand with other requirements to be able to attract those types of things. One of them being hotels, right? So one of the things that I'm very keen on working on is a hotel incentives program, right? If you saw the map, the East Area specific plan and all the areas of the future growth area, a lot of that still is open to opportunities, particularly in the East Area specific plan. So working and developing ways like how can we achieve that, right? Part of that is also going to be having an economic development strategy, which we currently don't yet have like a full toolkit of what's in our arsenal and what's at our disposal to continue to further economic development in our community. But part of that is also going to be leveraging our parks. I want to think creatively in how we can also use those as assets to also attract more tourism and more visits to Salinas to help drive some of the sales. Another thing that I'm working on is really working with our labor partners to see how we can potentially bring more of that training capacity here locally. So again, a lot of it has to do with the airport just because that's kind of what I've identified to be the lowest hanging fruit because of the way that the airport is set up administratively. But another idea that, again, a lot of these are kind of larger ideas, but as we saw with the dollar signs attached to every project, nothing that we want to do has a small dollar sign, right? So everything, in my opinion, that we want to do should be big, right? It should be these bigger ideas because we need these large amounts of revenues to actually do anything, right? So if we want to improve the streets and sidewalks, well, we need more funding, more monies, right? And as we saw, sales tax is the main driver of that. So let's get an economic development department set up so that they can work on attracting and retaining more businesses. But also working on a more robust economic entrepreneurship ecosystem here. I know we have a lot of young creative people, and I'd be keen in exploring different ways that the city could create either programs or division or help, nurture that creative spirit and kind of create a creative ecosystem right here in Salinas. So those are some of the things, but you also have some other details.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the pedestrian safety, the sidewalks. I know there's a lot of beacon sidewalks. I think you just told one here.
Yeah.
There's another one over there by the apartments, but are there any other areas specifically for high pedestrian, especially in our school zones?
Yeah, particularly with our school zones, that's been a concern that was raised actually every single principal in my district reached out as soon as I was elected to do a visit, particularly pertaining to pedestrian safety for the students and for the parents when they're picking their kids up. One of the main things with that is we actually don't have a city school district MOU to work with them on an aggregate basis. And what I mean by that is currently, because our system is complaint driven, when a school reaches out about those types of concerns, they're treated equally as any other resident would be, right? Which has its advantages, has its disadvantages, right? I see as a very big disadvantage because our school districts are also a great partner, right? And we need to look at them in their totality, right? So rather than working on a school site by school site basis, right? Like, okay, this is El Sausal's concerns, this is Alisal's concerns, this is La Paz's concerns. Look at them holistically. What are all the concerns, and can we address them holistically, right? We know intrinsically that traffic around school sites during the school year is going to be a concern. Pedestrian safety is going to be a concern. So we should be more proactive about that. So I know our city manager has been working and speaking with the superintendents about how do we develop that city school district MOU to be able to work with them and streamline those operations. But aside from that, one of the key priorities would be, again, having that budget to actually be able to do things, right? So we can we can work towards putting beacon lights at all the school sites, but at the end of the day, we need the funding and we need to start somewhere. So a good start is increasing that budget by 267%.
Thank you. Next question.
Actually, can I jump in real quick? Oh, yes. Kind of to add to what the council member just said, we do have a plan. We have the safe routes to school that was approved by council, and this is basically an action plan that does identify specific routes for schools. And this was a multi-year effort between the city and the schools. We did a lot of site visits, we did a lot of walks with them to define what were the school routes.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Víctor Mora. Te quería preguntar algo, José Luis. No le mientas a nuestra gente de que estás con nosotros. VHC te esperó 2 veces en las casitas, nunca asististe a las juntas. Nunca, no sé por qué, toda la gente esperándote ahí, la comunidad. A la hora dijiste que no podías ir. La siguiente junta igual. No engañes a tu gente, por favor, haz tu trabajo.
Disculpe, yo me quiero meter aquí porque todos dijimos que íbamos a ser respetuosos y a respetar
Sí,
el espacio.
Yo no le estoy diciendo nada malo.
Sí.
¿Qué dijo él ahorita? Acaba de decir que él está para VHC y para todas las organizaciones. Él no acudió 2 veces a la reunión que tuvimos.
¿Puedo contestar eso o su comentario? La primera reunión la anuncié el día anterior que se iba, no el día anterior, la anuncié antemano que se iba a posponer. ¿Okay? El grupo que se presentó de VHC y CCA de todos modos se presentó, lo entiendo, pero yo comuniqué de mi manera lo antes posible que no se iba a poder tener esa primera reunión. Por la primera reunión.
Yo el único favor que
si me permite terminar. La segunda componente fue, dijo que usted mencionó 2 reuniones. Tuve una reunión subsecuente con ciertos líderes de administración, uno siendo la señorita Nidia Soto. Ellos agendaron una cita, la agendó la señorita Nidia con el señor Joel, y ellos son las personas con las que tuve la reunión. En esa situación hubieron varias otras personas que se presentaron a la reunión, pero la reunión era con el señor Joel de CCA y la señorita Nidia, y ellos sí tuvieron su reunión. Entonces, para la segunda reunión sí se tuvo. Tuvimos una tercera reunión. Tuve una reunión subsecuente comunitaria tratando el tema, entonces no veo a dónde va acerca que no tuve las reuniones porque tuve cada una de las reuniones que se me pidieron.
Antes que llegaras a ser concejal, tuvimos una con nosotros. Fue la única. Después cancelaste las 2. Yo lo único que te pido, estás muy joven. Si quieres ser líder, necesitas trabajar con la comunidad. Por favor, te lo pido. Hazlo por tu gente. No lo hagas por... Ya sabes, no te puedo decir lo demás. Discúlpame.
Les voy a dejar a todos aquí tengo tarjetas de José Luis para si se quieren comunicar con él. Siempre hay la oportunidad, como dijo, él está abierto para comunicarse, ir al cafecito con ustedes. Pero sí quiero que aprovechemos este tiempo para si tienen más preguntas para David Jacobs, Kristen Lundquist,
Yo tengo una
Housing and
pregunta
Community
para obras
Development.
públicas.
Sí, ¿cuál es la pregunta?
And just to clarify, I think this is a great opportunity because not a lot of us get FaceTime with department heads or with our council members. So not only is it to hear feedback, but also suggestions on how we can better that communication. I think there's obvious, you know, the elephant in the room is this rental ordinance that has a lot of people heated. My only suggestion for you, Councilmember Barajas, is reach out to Protect Salinas renters. Real quick, in one phone call, you can find out how many of your constituents signed that referendum to guide your decision whether you're representing your community or not. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Dos cosas.
Yeah.
El parque Natividad Creek, Las Casitas, mejor conocido, ¿verdad? Tiene como unos meses ya que le está faltando la luz en el área que están las canchas de voleibol. Entonces es algo que yo quería traer a la atención del concejal. Por si llegas a caminar por ahí, vas a estar muy oscuro y está mucha gente, muchos niños jugando en las tardes, ¿verdad? Después de escuela. Entonces es importante que tengan las luces, también los baños. Y la otra cosa que quería yo preguntar acerca del drenaje. En el área de Adobe Boronda, ahora que está todo este levantamiento de costos del drenaje, ¿verdad? Llegó una carta a los residentes, pero resulta que Monterrey One Water es el que se encarga de, o sea, está algo confuso ahí, no entiendo si no hay drenaje, no hay alcantarillado, cómo se está funcionando, a quién se debe dirigir, a uno, a la ciudad o al condado en esta parte. No hay drenaje, pero se está notificando de parte de la ciudad los costos que se van a triplicar.
Aquí tenemos a la persona que se encargan de tener información sobre lo que está preguntando usted en la mesa de atrás.
Pero si quiere, y traduzco lo que ella para que...
Sí, para que le puedan contestar, por favor.
So, regarding the parks, I don't know if you've gone to Natividad Creek, known as Casitas. We're having some issues with the light, especially in the volleyball, where they play volleyball. And there's not a lot of light there. There's a lot of children that play there. So we need more lighting in that place. And also the bathrooms need more lighting. And another thing that I wanted to ask about the sewage, the increase. A lot of people from Adobe Boronda received a letter, and it's a little bit confusing because if there's no sewage, but they're increasing the amount, so it's a little confusing to know exactly what is going on.
Adriana, Maria, do you guys want to respond to this one and maybe speak a little bit about the sewer fee increase?
Sure. So I guess specifically to the question of the Boronda, Adobe Boronda area, that is a separate system of it that is not within the city, that is in the county, but it does drain into the city. So any system that drains into the city comes into our system, so then we basically have the right to collect for maintenance of our system. And that is the fee increase. So we do have a fee increase that we are proposing. That proposal is going to move forward with council on September 23rd. We have a lot of information here. You should have gotten a notice if you are a property owner or if you are a renter who pays your sewer fees, then you should have received a notice in the mail explaining to you the reason for the sewer increase and all the rates associated with it. If you have any other questions, we're obviously here to help you and we have additional information.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
No quiero desaprovechar la oportunidad de tenerlos a todos los diferentes departamentos de alumbrados públicos. Yo en específico quiero hablar de la avenida Pacific. Yo vivo ahí en la avenida Pacific. Y entonces lo que quiero yo decir es que no sé yo si habrá alguna manera de poner algunos topes para que los vehículos no pasen a alta velocidad en esa calle, porque es un solo sentido, de Garner hacia la del Monte. Algunos vehículos pasan demasiado rápidos y zumbando motores muy fuertes ahí. Entonces da la casualidad de que hace menos de una semana me rompieron los espejos laterales del lado de la calle a una van que tengo yo ahí parqueada. Entonces, y no solo eso, no estoy hablando de eso, sino que corremos el riesgo. Tenemos muchos niños en esa calle y salen a veces a jugar. Entonces yo no quiero que pase algo malo, pues. Quiero prevenir eso. Si en sus manos está arreglar este asunto, sería bastante favorable para la comunidad. Esa es mi humilde opinión. No sé si lo pueden tomar en cuenta. Gracias.
So I really want to take advantage of the opportunity that we have a lot of head of departments here, and I want to talk about public lights. I personally live in Avenida Pacific, and I was hoping that we can put some bumps, because cars, it's a one-way street, cars speed through that street, and last week they hit one of my vans that I have parked there, and they broke the rear windows. And, well, there's also a lot of children that play on the street, and I really don't want anything bad to happen. So I really want to be proactive and protect the people that live there.
There is a process for traffic control or traffic calming. You can find it on the city's website, and it requires a majority of the people on your street to sign a petition, and then that comes into engineering, and we do a study on the street to make sure that the speeds are what people are perceiving, and then we rank them in terms of where your streets, in terms of safety, fits with all the other streets that have supplied or supported or input the petitions. So every year we take all the petitions and all the reports, and we take it to council for a ranking. And usually the top 3 or 4 streets will do traffic control in that particular year. So there is a process. Go to the website and look up traffic calming, and it should pull it up, and go around and talk to your neighbors about signing a petition.
Y si me da su información, yo se la mando o lo dirijo a dónde la puede encontrar.
Muchas gracias.
Do you have a question in the back and you've been waiting for a long time?
Buenas tardes, perdón, buenas noches, yo soy Verónica Torres. Yo nomás quería decirles que en el Parque Las Casitas ya siempre hay mucha gente tomando y es un lugar familiar, y eso sí, yo quisiera que pues hiciera algo, porque pues ya hay gente tomando, hablan groserías, se orinan, y pues yo camino mucho por ahí porque es mi área, y sí quisiera que por favor pues hicieran algo, porque eso da muy mala porque es familiar, y ya pues siempre hay gente tomando en camionetas y todo. Sí, por favor.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Veronica Torres, and regarding the park known as Las Casitas, I would please ask you to do something, because there's a lot of people that are drinking there. It is a family park, and sometimes people are drinking, they're cursing, they're peeing. So I would really like to maintain that park a family place. So if you could do something to control these actions.
Thank you for your comment. Last question right here.
Gracias, yo sé que estamos casi a tiempo. Nada más sería para mi concejal, yo también vivo en el Distrito 1, pero sí me gustaría, ahorita si vemos toda esta parte de acá, si te das cuenta, casi la mayoría de personas de la ciudad, los que trabajan en la ciudad, pero realmente cuántas personas de tu distrito están dentro de esta junta que tú tienes comunitaria. Entonces, la invitación que te quiero hacer, estamos aquí como comunidad para apoyarte, siempre y cuando tú dejes que también te apoyemos. Cuando tú hablas de programas, de proyectos, de que estás trayendo, desconocemos qué es lo que estás haciendo y queremos ser parte de esos proyectos. Hemos logrado muchas cosas si nos unimos. Entonces, si tú quieres trabajar con nosotros como comunidad del Distrito 1, aquí estamos. Y sí sería bueno que cuando tengas otra junta, no sé, tengamos más promoción, más publicidad, algo que mueva más a tu gente del Distrito 1. ¿Por qué? Porque realmente 10 personas no somos el Distrito 1, somos más. Tienes un distrito que tiene muchísima gente. Y te puedo asegurar que si toda esa gente se mueve, va a venir aquí. Y este lugar va a ser insuficiente para tener una junta comunitaria y no vas a agarrar 5 o 10 opiniones, vas a agarrar más opiniones. Es solamente una sugerencia porque suena bien y se escucha bien el hecho de que digas estoy trayendo proyectos y estoy trabajando en esto y trabajando en esto otro, pero yo lo desconozco y sí me gustaría saberlo porque digo, aquí soy residente por años en el Distrito 1. Entonces es solamente una invitación. Y tienes también, mira, un equipo grandioso que está aquí para también apoyarte y sé que te va a dirigir y te va a decir, ¿sabes qué? Escuché todo esto de mi comunidad, denme ideas para trabajar. ¿Cómo puedo yo responder todas esas ideas y esas opiniones a mi gente? Solamente es una invitación.
Okay, so I'm just here because I want to work with I'm from District 1 too, so I want to work with my city council, I want to work with my representative. I like hearing you talk about all the projects and all the programs that you're bringing to the district, but the thing is that we want to know about them. We want to unite with you, we want to support you. We feel that if you give a little bit more, if you publicize more of these events and let more people know, then this room is not going to be enough for all the people from District 1 that are willing to support and work with you. So as a member of the community, I would like to know what are the projects that you're doing. We're here to support you. You have a great team that works with you, but we also we want to unite with you and work together so we can work on all these projects and programs that you are talking about.
Yeah. Le contesto en español. Le escucho su comentario, bien recibido. Creo que el tema constante de todo esto que tomé, la lección que tomé es mejor comunicación con la comunidad. Entonces, tómelo de mi parte que trabajaré arduamente en las próximas semanas para desarrollar un mejor plan de comunicación y de alcance comunitario para que podamos tener más foros como este en tal vez diferentes tiempos, igual de la mejor manera para que la comunidad pueda acudir a esta información. Muchas gracias. Y para concluir, nada más quería agradecerles a todos por acompañarnos el día de hoy, particularmente al personal de la ciudad de Salinas. Sé que ya trabajaron un día largo y aún están con nosotros a las 8 de la noche y gracias por acompañarnos. Y nada más una invitación, ya que estamos en el tema de próximas reuniones. Voy a tener otra reunión comunitaria el miércoles 24 de septiembre. En esa reunión se van a tratar los temas de seguridad pública, es decir, el Departamento de Policías, el Departamento de Bomberos y últimamente el Departamento de Desarrollo Económico. Vamos a tratar esos tres temas, seguridad pública siendo policías y bomberos y el tercer tema siendo desarrollo económico, para que nos puedan acompañar. Y esa reunión será igual a las 6 de la tarde, pero en la secundaria La Paz. Más información por venir cuando compartamos esa información. Y el sábado 20 de septiembre también tendré una limpieza comunitaria. Aún estamos por anunciar cuál será la ubicación dentro del distrito en el cual vamos a realizar esa limpieza, pero vamos a también compartir esa información próximamente. ¿Sí? Habiendo dicho eso, muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Thank you for joining us today y ojalá nos acompañen el próximo mes.